get ready with the tissues because a new emotional one-off documentary, Britain's Secret War Babies, investigates the children born to black American GIs and British women during the Second World War.
One man at the heart of the documentary is John Stockley, who grew up never knowing his father and knowing very little about his heritage.
However, during the Channel 4 documentary, John unravels some of the secrets surrounding his birth. Let's take a look.
And we are delighted to have John with us here this morning. John, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's an amazing story. Let's start with you growing up in Weymouth and tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Well, I was born on May the 7th, the last day of the war, effectively, in Weymouth. And my mother was Eva. She was born just along the coast in Burton Bradstock. And I was brought up in South Dorset by my grandmother and grandfather, my step-grandmother and grandfather. They were my stepfather's family. At Moonfleet, a little village just outside of Weymouth, a wonderful, idyllic place to be brought up, if you know it. It's behind the Chesil Beach, the Fleet Lagoon. It's a gorgeous place. My grandfather was a farmer and fisherman. He was an ex-Royal Marine. He was an old man then, but great people, fantastic people. One thing that sticks in my mind, we had no electricity until 1956. So really the first 10 years of my life was spent with two wonderful people. I was very lucky because my stepfather had come back from the Second World War and was greeted with a black child. You can't imagine. He should have walked away then when he saw, but he didn't. He stayed and he punished my mother really until the day she died. He wasn't a nice person. He had a weird psychological way. He was a racist, didn't like black people. Things that I remember, things like when Martin Luther King came on the television and would speak about the freedom marches in the 60s and things like that. My stepfather would say, that man deserves to be shot.
Oh my
Really?
Gosh. Wow. And what does that do to you as a little boy that's growing up where you're growing up and essentially being brought up by two white parents?
Yes.
How does that make you feel about your identity?
Well, it was very difficult at times. But, I mean, I would go over to the Chesil Beach with my grandfather fishing and would sit on the beach as a very young child and look across. This is strange how this manifested itself and look across the ocean and think, America's there. I'm going to go there one day. Never knowing, never thinking that I had any connection with it.
Wow.
But this unconscious thing. And in the little church where my grandmother, my step-grandmother, was church warden, in the war, the Americans were camped in the woods all around there secretly, so the Germans wouldn't see them. And when they left, there were the Stars and Stripes was left in the church. It's still there today. You can still go to Holy Trinity Church in Fleet and see that American flag. And my grandmother used to hold me up to touch the flag when I was very, very small. And I can remember going in the church every time. I'd look up at this Stars and Stripes, but I didn't know what
that meant to you. You didn't know what that meant to you.
So when did you find out that you were the son of an American GI?
Well, there was always things. Nothing was... Where I live, there were 16 of us, mixed race kids.
Wow, 16.
In Weymouth and Portland. And slowly but surely, we became aware of each other. One of my first times, I went to play a game of football when I was about 7 or 8 for St John's School, my school, and went to West Haven School, ran out on the pitch, and there was a black kid who I'd never seen before. And his name was Paul Nash. He turned out to be my closest friend. Funny thing, that day, I was on the wing, he was on the wing, and we were chasing the ball, little kids. And our goalkeeper's father was there. He was a keen football supporter and supported the school team, shouting at me, "Run, Darky, run!" And I remember we stopped, Paul and I, and looked at each other as if to say, who's he talking to? But this was not... Mr. Parker wasn't a racist. Darky was a term...
Oh, it's an unconscious bias, isn't it?
I mean, we've read so much about you. The documentary is on Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Channel 4. You lived in a time where you saw signs. Did you see this? You saw signs that said, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs.
Yes.
How does one survive? I mean,
what does
living...
that do to you mentally?
I were grouped with dogs.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. We were above the dogs, though, Andy.
Oh, well, great.
That was a school trip from from school to go to see the Greenwich Meridian. So a group of us caught a train up from Weymouth up to Waterloo. Some of them had never been to London, the kids. And we got a coach from Waterloo out to Greenwich, and remember going through London and seeing that signs in windows. No blacks, no Irish. And in the traffic, the bus stopped, and I'm looking at these signs and thinking in my mind, well, down our way, in the guest houses, the signs would say vacancies or no vacancies.
What does this even mean?
So different.
So, in the documentary, there's obviously lots of emotional moments, you discovering who your father is, but there's one particular moment where you meet your half-brother. We've got a little clip. Let's take a look at it now.
So much joy there.
So
the best documentaries always come from places that people were never expecting. You weren't necessarily expecting this documentary.
No.
Has it changed your life?
Absolutely. I feel... I went out as an only child. I've come back as one of 9. I've got brothers. It's something I always dreamed of. And for my family, it's... They've been fantastic.
Yeah.
They have been so good to me.
And I suppose it's so nice for you to fill in all of those missing pieces, those gaps that, moments...
And still doing so.
Yeah. And I'm sure that will keep
There's more to
happening.
come. There is more to come.
Well, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah,
I really
well.
am. I mean, what a nice ending of a story that's been very, very difficult for you.
And you got to meet Sean Fletcher.
Yes.
Who
we love.
A wonderful man.
Well, I won't go that far. He's all right. He's all right.
Lovely.
He's lovely. It's
It's
a fascinating story. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. on Channel 4. Thank you so much for coming in.
Definitely be watching.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Lovely to talk to you.